Hey everyone, it's Alice, and this is going to be another speed VOD review. Today we have Cloud9 versus RNG. This is still the group stage game. This is not the tiebreaker. So, things starting off, they have Tom Kench, Aurelia being banned away by Cloud9. On RNG side, they have banned away Nocturne. And now Draven actually being banned away from Sneaky. Maybe something's going on inside of the scrims that I'm not aware of. Zaya now being banned away by Cloud9. And they do this again. They do the first pick Alistar. And I really don't think that it's worth first picking. I feel like RNG probably just takes Kai'Sa here, I'm assuming. Yeah. So RNG should probably just go Kai'Sa support. Alternatively, they could also just go Kai'Sa jungle. I don't see any other world in which you pick mid or top. Okay, well, they don't need to pick Aatrox or Urgot because Aatrox still exists. Okay. Okay. And so now Talia ends up being picked, and with this, RNG can actually just go for their jungler pick. And also, now they can actually just target out the top laners and get themselves an advantage that way. So I actually don't like what Cloud9 did here. I think that if Sivir's on the table, I mean, I don't know what RNG knows about Sneaky's champion pool, but maybe you actually didn't need to pick Sivir as early as Cloud9 did. Maybe Sivir would have made it through, in which case you could have gotten a hold of Aatrox. Okay. LeBlanc now being banned away by RNG, which is very interesting, especially given that they have counterpick. And Galio banned away by Cloud9, I guess to prevent any sort of protect Kai'Sa type stuff later on. Lee Sin now being selected and locked in, I guess, for RNG. It's very, very hit or miss jungler. Can be extremely volatile, very, very difficult to make work at the world stage. And it looks like Cloud9 actually going with the Chinese and Korean trend of having that Syndra pick. It's very, very good as a blind pick. It can go up against essentially everything, so not really too bad. And it looks like Shen is going to be the final pick, so that's going to be a Shen top lane for Licorice, and it is a blue side Shen, so I do prefer that to any sort of red side Shen. And a Sion being locked in, so I'm assuming that that's mid Sion and support Gragas. Okay. Alright, so I know the results of this game, but this just seems really, really disrespectful in a lot of ways. Let me rewind to the champion select. So right here, up in top lane, yes, Urgot should be able to get sizable CS advantages against the Shen up in top lane. Yes, Urgot should actually be able to get the first turret, not just factoring in Shen using his Stand United bottom lane and whatnot. But the thing that's scary for me is that Sivir is very powerful against this lineup. Sivir has actually a very easy time of evading the types of engage that RNG wants to put onto Sivir. And so then in that way, Sivir's actually going to be able to probably just play front to back and have a very nice time. Syndra, likewise, it's so hard for Lee Sin and Sion reliably to get onto this Cloud9 team composition, and then Talia is a champion that doesn't slow down. So one of the things I really don't like is that all of RNG's team composition slows down after 1.5, 2 items, except for Kai'Sa. And so this ultimately becomes like a protect the Kai'Sa comp. But I don't know why RNG, like, yes, historically, Uzi is the main figurehead of RNG. Yes, you would imagine that, you know, he is their main carry and he's what you want leading you inside of a game. But they don't need to put all their eggs onto Uzi when Let Me is extremely competent in and of himself, and then Xiaohu is extremely competent. I really, really hate this draft from RNG. I don't think that the meta actually suits this kind of a draft, and I think that it's very disrespectful. So I think that Cloud9 actually wins out in the draft. I think that Cyan mid is just so bad. After all the changes that happened, I think Cyan mid is just so terrible. I also don't know why Xiaohu is going Glacial Augment on Cyan instead of just Comet when he's up against Syndra. I think that it's so bad. Dark Harvest on Lee Sin. I really hate RNG's team composition. If we talk about like what Karsa needs to do, he has to make Sparks fly in top lane and bottom lane, and Sion needs to get a kill advantage or a massive CS edge over Jensen in order to have permanent priority while still being semi-relevant. And I think that that's a very difficult feat to achieve. I think that Talia Syndra and Talia Shen are so much better at being able to just function inside of this team composition and then operate around the map. I think that RNG basically backed themselves into a wall with their draft. It's so one-dimensional. Okay. So right now, looks like Karsa is at the Wraiths. I don't know what he's actually planning to do. It looks like he's looking around for Svenskeren. I like what Svenskeren's doing. He immediately goes over to Karsa's Wraiths, and now Karsa's actually being spotted out. And this is one of the worst things in the world that could actually happen for Karsa. Because Cloud9's not St. Vicious, they've probably realized that, okay, you know, we hit tab and we count Lee's CS. We know exactly what camps he still has available to him. And unless RNG would be able to make something happen down here in bottom lane, Lee Sin just falls so far behind Talia. You can already see that Talia is actually getting so far ahead. I don't like the fact that Talia or Svenskeren actually started pathing towards the bottom half of the map. I think that it would have actually been better for him to go up and allow Licorice to just crash the wave with complete freedom and then take away the Golem camp from Lee Sin. Because then, if you take the Golem camp away from Lee Sin in this exact spot, you know where Karsa's going to be for about the next minute, but then you also have the exact timers on all of his respawning camps. Azazel manages to get out of there, and Svenskeren's now down in bottom lane, but I really don't like this this pathing all that much. Sven's helping a sneaky crash in the wave. And Karsa's trying to help out as well. Sneaky is really healthy right now, so he's going to be able to crash this wave in one more time and get a little bit of an edge, but Uzi's CS is actually amazing. When you consider that Uzi is missing out on CS right now and he's still ahead, that's really good for him. Lee Sin is just so far behind. You can see the pings now from Karsa. Oh, yeah, the taskbar. Sorry. What the hell is that? Okay. And now you can see that Karsa is actually being a little bit desperate. He's going for a lane gank here on Licorice, and if this doesn't work, he just continues to fall even further behind. They end up getting the flash out of Licorice, which I suppose that you can say that that's quite good. But you can see what's happening in mid lane. Jensen's getting a sizable CS lead against the Sion, and it's expected that Syndra should get a CS lead. I don't think that the CS lead should actually be this big. So I think that the Sion pick is not doing what it should right now, and I think with how far Lee Sin's falling behind, it's not really that good. The only thing that's obviously concerning right now is Sneaky CS in the bottom lane, because Uzi is staying ahead of him. But that's the only problem that they're really having. No, Svenskeren, no, don't do Ocean Drake. What are you doing? What? I really hate this. I think doing Ocean Drake is so bad. I think it's one of the worst decisions that Cloud9 can make. And, okay, so Svenskeren actually almost ends up going down. We can just rewind this. So the reason that I think Ocean Drake's really bad, let's take a look at when Svenskeren actually starts it. So you can see that Svenskeren actually has a ward, but he's very careful with his ward. He only puts the ward here. I think that there's a lot of value in actually just going up, especially because you know about Lee Sin in top lane, right? You just see him on the minimap. You see him again. And here you have Svenskeren. So you can calculate the recall time, and then you know that Karsa doesn't actually have boots. So if he doesn't waste time casting this ability and he just runs all the way up, he can get a ward over onto the blue buff. And if he gets a ward on the blue buff at this exact timing, it's really good for his entire team. He can also then look to steal away the Gromp, come down, hit the blasting cone, and then go back into his jungle and go down to his golems. If he ends up doing this, then he's in close proximity for any sort of path that Karsa's forced to take. Because you know that with what Karsa just did on the left-hand side, sorry, this blue isn't very thick. 1 second. I don't know why this blue's not thick. Now, no, it's still not thick. Oh, that's better. Okay. So Karsa, you know that Karsa has to come down like this. You know that these are his only available routes. I suppose that you could make an argument that maybe he passes to the Scuttle Crab and then tries to do another like really wonky thing up in top lane, but you know that he has to have right-hand side pressure right now, especially because Sion's going to get priority in mid lane, and then Sion probably wants to make to look something happen. So they would potentially just look to do some sort of a 4-man type thing down in bottom and pull away the Stand United from Licorice. So I really hate what Sven does here with starting the Ocean Drake. I don't know what RNG is doing. They just seemingly got baited into all of this. I think Xiaohu is trying to be a little bit too forceful. But Cloud9's basically had initiative and control for the entire part of this early game so far, even though that I think that Svenskaren's missed out on some punishes. Take a look at this. Can't really actually kill Svenskaren there. Now there's a massive party down in bottom lane, and it doesn't even matter that Karsa's here. And this is one of the problems. We're already at the 10-minute mark, and we talked about how Let Me needed to be really far ahead, and Xiaohu actually needed to get something going for him in mid. Otherwise, Jensen's just always going to be able to stay slightly ahead of him and then keep up in pressure and priority. I really hate that Cloud9's doing an Ocean Drake. I still have to make an LS Logic video on this. I have yet to make it. But so far, everything that Cloud9's doing is actually really good. But it should be noted that it's pretty hard to mess this up because RNG's team composition can also just lose the game rather than Cloud9 winning it, just due to how difficult it is to function at this stage. It's really, really why I hated the Lee Sin pick and also the mid Sion. Yeah, the Urgot's not doing anything in lane either. I don't know what RNG's doing. I like what RNG does here, though. They rotate up into top lane. They acknowledge that if they just stay down in bottom lane, it's going to basically be the definition of insanity. They should actually probably press on or escorted the Herald up at least a little bit more before rotating back and then recalling. I like what Sneaky is doing down in bottom. He's shoving in one more wave, and now he'll back up and then he'll recall. And this is all completely fine. So the issue here is that I think that the most common thing for people to think right now would be to recall and then have bottom lane go top, but I think that that's actually a poor decision by Cloud9. Sneaky opts out of recalling and actually comes straight to the fight, and you can tell that RNG is probably not expecting that at all. And now with the death onto Uzi, you can actually just shove in mid lane and recall. And now it looks like Sneaky's going top, but I don't like that. I don't think that that's as good of an option. They really don't expect Sneaky to be there, and then RNG is just being way too disrespectful. Their team composition needs to be ahead, and they're just not ahead, and Kaisa doesn't have any items. So now they rotate Uzi up into top lane. And this is actually a lane assignment where RNG could have a little bit of an edge. The reason that I say that is because if you put Sivir up in top lane, it's going to slow her down because it's very far away from everything. There's no neutral objective coming up. Now, the one thing that is beneficial for Cloud9 is that Cloud Drake is coming up next, which is a really, really fucking bad dragon. So it's not like they're losing anything if they do commit to putting members on the left-hand side of the map, and then Shen still has his bottom turret that he is able to protect and then just stay inside of the long lane. Okay. I don't know what Uzi's doing. And now he's going to shove the wave back into Cloud9. And depending on the size of the wave, something that Cloud9 could do is something that I talked about in one of the Fnatic VOD reviews, where you can perma-freeze top lane. And I think that would actually be the best thing for Cloud9 to do. So you see the size of this minion wave, right? This wave can actually come up to here, and then you can perma-freeze it using the brush.
Ensever doesn't have that much lifesteal, but it's completely fine. Because the investment that it takes RNG to send 3 members up to top lane, fight over vision control inside of the blue side jungle of Cloud9, and then break a permafreeze that can be executed by Sneaky is way too much. And then because their mid-tier 1 turret and their bottom turret is just still so healthy, once Uzi recalls here, where does Uzi go? There's no Herald, there's no Dragon to go to. So if Cloud9 executes a permafreeze down in bottom lane, what ends up happening is RNG falls behind about 700 gold per minute that passes just from neutral gold. So if we just split the map, RNG gets all of their jungle camps, Cloud9 gets all of their jungle camps, Cloud9 denies them, and they end up creating, it ends up creating like a plus 1400, right? Per minute that passes. So the deficit, you know, Cloud9 goes plus 7, and then RNG goes minus 7, right? So the total deficit's around 1400. But in addition to this, you have to factor in the XP and what that means, because it means that Sneaky is going to get so much further ahead in terms of base levels than Uzi. I'm very doubtful that Cloud9 is going to do this because no teams do it. Yeah. I hate my life. I hate my fucking life. How does Cloud9 go 700? Because you factor in the math of 3 waves plus the cannon. I've never seen a permafreeze strat. They don't do it. Teams don't, I think, understand it. And the reason that it would be such a good move here is because the Dragon's so shit and there's no Herald. And because the enemy team composition is so poor at trying to siege or push. No, I mean 700. No, it's not. Alright, Twitch chat, look. If you're getting guaranteed 700 gold and the opponent cannot receive their 700 gold, they go minus and you go plus. How does that not make sense? Take one end of the rope and the other end and then stretch it both directions. What? The difference. No, they are losing gold because their minions are dying. It's gold that you would assume that they would get. It's gold that they would get because we're assuming a neutral scenario. I'm getting trolled. Three waves plus cannon plus natural game gold generation. Am I getting trolled? Or am I messing something up in the explanation? I don't know which one it is. Maybe I am. Okay, yeah. So the gold at the top will read just plus 7, right? The pain that's felt is 14. Okay, I think I'm explaining it poorly, and that's my fault. So Cloud9's rotating and they're taking a useless dragon, so I think this is really bad. They don't understand that if you just let this... Alright, so what I hate right here is that they funneled themselves into the river. If RNG commits to this fight, they're just as stupid with like trying to handshake this fight, because this is not a fight that they should be trying to handshake. They don't have Uzi, top lane's really bad, and they have mid prio. If Karsa just doesn't go in here and the rest of RNG just choke them off from here, then they end up losing mid turret most likely. Yeah, I don't know what Karsa's doing. I don't know what RNG's doing. I don't know what Uzi's doing, and now they're delayed on tempo. They're not able to choke them off because they don't have all of the members from RNG. Sneaky and friends even be able to get to the Wraiths, and so they weren't even able to deny actually a camp. So RNG is actually looking like an NA team right now. I feel as though I'm looking at Team Liquid. Oh, this is really sloppy. I don't know what the fuck RNG is doing. They look so bad right now. They're so far behind because Cloud9 has the better team composition. They have superior scaling on their team composition. And the fact that they're ahead in gold and they're up Drakes as well to boot. I mean, alright, so the two Dragons basically do virtually nothing this game, to be completely honest with you. And the reason that they do virtually nothing is because a Cloud Drake does not matter when you already have priority in every single lane. Some people might argue, well, it helps you move through the jungle faster. That doesn't fucking matter because you're not doing anything except when you have minion waves. This team composition is now going to be on perma defense. The problem is that even though they're on perma defense, they don't actually scale. Now, another Ocean Drake's actually coming up, and this is potentially big because it means double Ocean when you know that Cloud9 is likely going to get Baron. Ocean Drakes are absolutely terrible Drakes, in my opinion, or actually, they're just quite fucking terrible unless they're taken pre-10 minutes. And if they're taken after 10 minutes, they're almost virtually useless. But when you get Baron, they become one of the best dragons in the game. The reason that the Baron matters is because when you have the Baron, you're likely having extended, prolonged sieges and pushes, in which case the regeneration from the Ocean Drake is actually crucial to the Baron buff's duration. So when you have an Ocean Drake or two Ocean Drakes and Baron buff, the Baron buff makes it so that the Ocean Drake's benefits are insane. They're super massive, and I'm not talking about the team because that's just not good. But having Ocean Drake with Baron, I think, is better than I would say it's probably better than Infernal in some situations. I think and then also depending on the team compositions, Ocean can actually be better than Mountain when you have Baron, because sometimes you don't actually need the Mountain Drake benefits in order to get the turret. You just need the extra sustain. So it's going to obviously depend on team compositions, but once you have Baron, having Ocean Drakes is no joke. No, Cloud Drake always sucks. Cloud Drake always sucks unless you have two Cloud Drakes. And if you have two Cloud Drakes and it's an even game. Cloud Drake's insane if it's two Cloud Drakes in an even game. Cloud Drake sucks in almost every other situation. Is my breathing actually weird? That might be my asthma. Alright, RNG is actually looking for a team fight right now. And I don't think that that is what they should be looking for. But they end up actually getting Talia. And they get Licorice as well. And we can take a look at how this all happens. Oh, they do have some of the items completed. And since Garen just gets blown up immediately, they trade Ming. And then they end up getting another kill right there onto Licorice. They're not able to push on anymore though, and I mean, they're gonna get the mid-tier 1 turret. I don't think that they can push on to get mid-tier 2. So they end up picking up, they end up going 2 for 1, but it actually comes at a little bit of a heavy cost. And with that team fight actually having just gone on, what it means is that RNG now is going to push out top lane and bottom lane, and Cloud9 is no longer incentivized to actually fight against RNG without fixing bot and top lane, and so it makes it so that the game is naturally going to scale out a little bit more, and that's not what RNG wants to happen. The only case in which RNG I think should want to take a team fight is if their lanes were already in really good positions. Because if their lanes are already in good positions and they can make it so that Cloud9 can't get the XP and can't get the gold, then taking a knife fight in that situation would be better for them. Okay. And now RNG is actually taking an Ocean Drake. I think this is really bad. Even though it prevents Cloud9 from getting double Ocean, Cloud9 has to make an investment to get it, which means that they have to funnel into the Dragon, and this allows RNG to actually have more time trying to kill neutral camps and letting lanes come into them and potentially executing freezes. Like, you see the size of that wave up in top lane? If RNG actually had someone there to catch it in front of the Golem entrance, maybe they could have executed a freeze. And then Cloud9 wastes time getting the Ocean, and it gives RNG some ample time to try to recover on items and whatnot. Now RNG is just grouping up in mid lane, and this is really looking like Team Liquid right now. RNG is doing their best Team Liquid impression. I mean, the way that RNG is setting up vision and executing on objectives around the map has, it's been really clean up at, even compared to Korean standards. So building the same lead versus international teams might be hard, but their macro is good. So, Ming ends up dying. I don't know what Jensen's doing right there, but it's not going to matter anyway. RNG's team composition is just so rough. They need the stars to align. That's going to end up being Baron, almost certainly. Yeah, Kars is going to go into his Gromp, and then Mayubi even picks up bottom lane. I'm not entirely sure. So now Cloud9 is going to have the Baron. I'm pretty sure that the Baron persists into the Infernal Drake, so this is a really bad situation for RNG. They're going to really wish that they did not take the Ocean Drake. And we're just looking at the team fight one more time. It's really hard to talk about macro things because basically RNG's team composition is falling apart on top of itself, and it's very easy for Cloud9 to just pilot right through it. And Cloud9 just had such a massive lead from the early game because Karsa failed to really do anything. And even though Svenskeren missed out on some punishes and from the jungle, Jensen did a really good job in mid lane. And Zhao, who couldn't really do anything in that first team fight that happened in Bottom River. Now they're going to get top, tier 2. Gold lead is going to extend to almost 10k. These are those spots where the Ocean Drakes are really good. Really good ult by Sven. They should just burst down the turret. Licorice escorting mid lane. Yep. This is looking like it's actually going to be the end of the game. So, not the type of game I was expecting. Cloud9 actually just turned their attention towards the Nexus turrets. And that's a recall. Turret's actually being locked up. Sneaky should just hit the turret. Yeah, and now you can just target the Nexus. Doesn't really matter. Just target the Nexus. Target Nexus. Oh, wow. Okay. So, this is... Alright, so, Cloud9 played clean. Now, the issue for me, and I want to see what they do in game number 2. The issue for me is that it wasn't hard for them to do what they had to do. It was very, very easy and very surface level, and they were able to do it. And the other problem is that RNG's team composition gave them 0 resistance. So, with that being said, this is sort of like Cloud9, being all challengers going into a diamond game. They don't feel any resistance, the enemy team can't do anything, and the enemy team composition sucks. So the one good thing that they did is they didn't make any clear-cut blunders. They had opportunities to bleed RNG harder than they did this game, and they didn't take them. That's a little bit concerning for me, and it doesn't matter to me that they still ended up winning the game. And some lane allocations were a little bit poor, but that doesn't matter either. RNG, I think, played way worse than Cloud9 this game, and like I said, RNG was looking like Team Liquid. And I don't know why they drafted that way, and I think that their play was really reckless and then also impulsive because it did not seem like they were really aware of what should be going on, when they should be taking team fights, what they should be looking for, and we first saw that in the Bottom River thing. So this game wasn't that fun to watch, it wasn't that exciting. I mean, I can understand how it's so exciting for NA and stuff, but really, RNG... I feel like RNG lost in Cloud9, didn't give them a lifeline to somehow win an unwinnable situation. But yeah, the game wasn't overall that fantastic to me. I feel like RNG lost this game, Cloud9 didn't win it. So we're gonna I really want to see what happens in game number 2.